Recording. Starting about a minute and 12 seconds. There's a couple of people that just popped in. The question is, if you're just hopping in, is how long have you been in real estate and where are you at in the world? We're going to get started here in about a minute. I'm going to manage the chat. We'll have to get a lot of people in as they kind of straggle in. The question is, how long have you been in real estate and where are you at in the world if you're just popping in? Well, welcome everyone. Really do appreciate you all here. Really am excited to chat with you today about something that I've been really passionate about and really chatting with all of our agents and anyone that's listening back to the replay, any of our agents. Most likely already know that this is something that we've been really focused on over the last couple of months around like really creating irresistible offers in marketing. And really the goal of the presentation today is to really help you win more listings in your local market through strategies that I think will help you help set you apart from everyone else in the real estate industry, because everyone's like saying, I'm honest, I'm integral. It's like, you should be honest, you should have integrity. It's like, but what are the things that can actually set you apart from everyone else in the real estate community? And I think what Revive is doing, and even just the process in which they, we've been chatting with our agents around running even what they do on the front end in their marketing campaigns is amazing. And Michael will get to that, but I'm going to set Michael up for, read his bio really quick here, set him up because Michael and I have been having a ton of conversations over the last couple of months. And I'm so pumped that he has agreed to come chat with our community. So if you're listening back on the replay, take notes. And if you're here today with us, take notes, because I know that like we went through this yesterday, some things that he's going to share. I'm really excited about the things that he's going to share with you all today. But Michael is a Southern California real estate veteran with a proven track record as a builder, investor, and respected home flipper. Michael created Revive Real Estate to share his industry knowledge and help homeowners maximize their profits when selling their homes. This is something that we're going to show you today, how to maximize the profits when people are selling their homes, which allows you to differentiate yourself in the industry. Michael's journey into real estate wasn't planned. It evolved when in U.S. financial crisis in 2008, Michael's crisis and cash management skills would help him move his family's investments from banks into safe havens of real estate. Soon, single-family homes were being auctioned off on the courthouse steps, and Michael saw an opportunity to begin fixing and flipping houses. So in 2009, he teamed up with a former Blackstone employees and created an Umbrella Capital Group. Umbrella was the real estate investment fund that targeted value-oriented real estate investments and development projects in Southern California. Michael's firm was so successful that by 2013, he created the Plaza Group Realty, a Southern California boutique real estate brokerage servicing the needs of companies and individual residential real estate, commercial real estate, multifamily dwellings, high density mixed use developments. There he moved from flipping homes to new construction houses. After watching friends and family struggle with remodeling projects, Michael realized that the home renovation industry was ripe to be revolutionized on the consumer side. He also created a better way to renovate, but needed to scale both processes and financing. Michael, I am so pumped that you took some time today in order to chat with us about what top teams are doing in order to differentiate themselves in the real estate industry. And I'm excited for you because you work with them hand in hand on a daily basis, chatting with them. And I know that you're going to provide a ton of value today. So I'm really excited. I'm going to add you as a spotlight here. And I'm gonna let you take it from here, my man. I might pop in here and there, but really excited for you to share with us, and really excited to kind of hear what you have to say today.
Well, thank you, Cody, and thank you all for being here. I'm really grateful that you invited me, and I'm really happy to be here with all of you. And as you're reading that bio, I'm like, man, that's we're putting people to sleep. But all to say, all of the things that you read about, Cody, is just to really say that I've been in the trenches, kind of where many of you have been or are. So I've worn the different hats of being a broker, a realtor, an investor, a flipper, a builder, a lender. I've worn all those hats, and that's kind of what I think has given me some unique perspective on all of the failures and successes that people have in this industry of real estate. And yes, I am Michael Aladawi. I'm the CEO of Revive currently, which is adding kind of to my, I guess, qualifications to hopefully be able to impart on you what my goal is today is maybe one or two nuggets, right? Maybe it's a strategy that you hadn't heard of, or maybe it's something that you have heard of, but you think about it in a different way, is kind of my goal today. And I kind of understand that depending on where your business is, some of these things might be super obvious. Some of them may need some tweaking. If you're, I see a lot of veteran, when I was looking at the number of years, I was surprised. I saw a lot of 20s and 30s and even a 40. So I know there's a lot of veterans here. So I may not be teaching you something, but as a friend of mine recently told me, because I was, Cody, when I was looking at these tips that I wanted to share with people, I was like, these are pretty obvious, right? Like some of them are, and especially like the first one or two, I'm kind of like, they're kind of obvious tips, but there's a difference between putting into action and doing and knowing. And so I want to talk about that as well. So, I guess I'll just jump right into it. I mean, I think, we structured this to be, 5 tips or strategies that I've learned, that I've seen being put into practice with the top producing realtors that I work with, that I shadow. Because in my position today, I work with, I help realtors, and I'm talking about the realtors that I've kind of learned from and sometimes been surprised by their strategies. The top producers, these are like individuals that are individually doing 200 million plus. And some of the strategies they use, sometimes I feel are like obvious and sometimes counterintuitive. So I'm going to start with the first kind of tip strategy that I want to talk about, which is an obvious one. It's just having and being knowledgeable, right? In today's, as a realtor today, I think a lot of us, some of us, a lot of new realtors maybe, or older realtors, forget that the role of a realtor has really evolved from what it was, 30 years ago, right? It is, the commodity of a realtor is no longer just information. It used to be back in the day where no one could find out if a home was for sale except for a realtor, because they had this like book. And so obviously we're a long ways from that today, with the advent of so many things, Zillow, Redfin, so much information at people's fingertips, that I truly believe today that the role of a realtor is to be the ultimate guide. And more than ever today, I think your clients need you. I think one thing for sure that I firmly know 100% is realtors are not going anywhere. We're not going to be replaced with AI or any of those things, because your clients really need you, and your clients don't know how. I think if you search the trending searches on Google today by all citizens in the United States, you're going to find that the number one things that people are searching are inflation, housing bubble, real estate crash. People are so interested in understanding and knowing what is going on today in the real estate market, because it affects everything that we do, everything from not just when we're buying and selling, but it affects us at all times, right? Many people are investors. Everyone wants to buy a home, even if they don't own a home today. And if they own one home or multiple homes, they're certainly interested in that. And I think that's, as a realtor today, and, your clients are sophisticated, right? They're selling $1 million homes, $2 million homes in many of these markets, and they're doctors, attorneys, accountants, and they're looking to you to understand what is the market doing, and they need to hear from you a little bit more than what the typical headlines are and the clickbait is out there. So that's kind of my number one rule is, do yourself a favor and read the articles, follow some an economist, use your local lender as a source of information. And I don't think that, I'm not trying to say you have to be an economist or a professional real estate, financial advisor, but you certainly need to know where to point people, and you need to be a little bit deeper than the clickbait that's out there. So, that's kind of like my first thing that I wanted to kind of get out there before I get into some of the deeper stuff. Cody, how do you feel? Am I missing anything on that point, or am I pointing out just the obvious here?
No, I think that I've worked with enough real estate agents and teams. We both advise some really large teams, and I've interviewed, you were on our podcast. I've interviewed some of the top performing teams in the country, and they echo that same sentiment, where it's the education piece, understanding the stats in your market is the thing that will set you apart. Because, and Sharon says this, we have a mutual friend, Sharon says this consistently, the people that can take the information, the complicated information, and because a lot of it's confusing. It's confusing for agents, it's confusing for consumers, but if you can take the information and make it digestible, then people that is the value you provide to the market, where it's it's CNN is saying this, or Fox is saying this, but this is actually what's happening in the market. These are the, and that's part of the reason when we work with clients, we do market updates, so that every single week you're looking at the amount of transactions, you're looking at the amount, what is the interest rate for the week? Knowing these things will really set you apart. And after doing, I think we're on episode 150, in our RG podcast, is almost every single top performing team lead says, I understand, I've studied the market, I know what's happening, I know everything about Seattle, I know everything about Irvine, California, and what's happening here. So I just want to echo that sentiment that you're 100% on point, that looking at your hot sheets daily, reading, connecting with your lender, what's happening with interest rates weekly. These are all things that, to be a knowledge broker, you have to know the different avenues. And I'm excited for you to get into the later stuff where how even having knowledge to give people options, I think really separates them. But you're 100% on point there. I don't really have anything other than to add than to echo that same sentiment, that the top performing teams are doing this.
Yeah. And I think nothing builds trust more than, having knowledge, right? When someone is, trying to offer me a service and they're offering me real insight, then I trust them. I want to work with them, right? Because, there are a lot of realtors out there, and how are you going to differentiate yourself? And knowledge is an easy one to do that. And certainly, kind of consistent what I was saying in terms of realtors today need to be solution providers and bringing options to the table. And so, yes, companies like Revive and many other prop tech companies out there that are working, really super hard to deliver value to the consumer market. Your clients don't have the time to vet and understand all the different solutions and all these different companies and how they work and what are their advantages and disadvantages. but you as a realtor, knowing, being on top of the industry by, going to conferences, attending webinars like this, being in the know about what does Revive do, what does Knock do, what does this lender do, what does this new product do. This is all part of, providing value to your client. And I'm a firm believer that, if you can deliver, value, then you have, you're set up for success. So I think, I think we could move on to strategy or tip number 2 that I wanted to talk about. That this is a very interesting one, Cody, because this is about commissions. This is about me kind of shadowing some of these top producers and seeing consistently that the way that they handle the commission conversation is so very, very different than the way that almost all other realtors handle it. And it's handled very directly and head on by a lot of these top producers. I think so many realtors are so, I don't know what it is, they're shy about bringing up that topic. It's almost like taboo. They almost like gloss over it. And what I see in a lot of the top producers, and I'm going to share my screen here for a second, and this is a piece of collateral that I want to offer to you guys. By the way, here it is right here. So this is what I'm dubbing as a commission menu. Many of the top producers that I work with have this as like a focal point of their presentation, right? It's an opportunity to have a direct conversation about what they're earning, and qualifying and quantifying what they're going to do for the client, their services, and what they charge for them. And usually they have options, right? And so, by the way, this is an example. If you want this, please, message us here, email Candice@revive.realestate, or DM us commission menu on revive.realestate Instagram, and we'll send you this and any other collateral that we share here. But, offering your clients options is such a powerful, tool to do a couple things. One is understanding that there's always a certain amount of people that are willing to pay a premium for a premium service and premium results. And then there are some that don't. They want the cheapest listing ever. And so the way that this is set up, and this is, I pretty much ripped this from a couple of different realtors that I work with. Basically, they highlight their core offerings, which I'm sure all of you guys have, and you could go in here and edit and put in whatever you do. But then offering, a silver, gold, platinum, or a 1, 2, 3 option where, for 5%, we're going to offer these standard services. For, the next level up, the gold level, we're going to do extra videography, extra photography. We're going to maybe take care of some of the value preservation items for you, overseeing, staging, cleaning, health and safety issues, maybe even introducing a company like Revive to take care of some of those things. And of course, a platinum level of service is really a conversation not about the commission, but about how much money you could help your clients make by, in this case, I packaged it to be where you're offering pre-sale renovation services, where there's no money out of pocket, and it's a turnkey process for the client. So I think this is really important to be offering options to the clients. I think there's a psychology between having, a commission and negotiating against your commission, or having options so people understand what value you deliver at every different step of the way. I do want to kind of talk about, commission negotiation, because I feel like so many of all what coaches and what you hear about in brokerages is never negotiate on your commission. it's like so taboo. Like if you negotiate on your commission, then it's like you've just broken a rule, you're doomed, you're never going to succeed in real estate. And I think on one hand, super agree with that. I think if you have a ton of listings, you shouldn't, I think you want to pick, your listings. And if you're lucky enough to have 4, 5, 10 listings, then you could do that. And certainly there's no better way to not lower your commissions than having it defined and quantified. However, I also think if you have no listings, right, and there's a listing, a client that you like in a neighborhood that is in your backyard, that you could turn that listing into an opportunity, right? An opportunity to have a sign in the yard, an opportunity to engage the neighbors, an opportunity to, be syndicated on all the websites, then I personally think it's a great idea. Many of the people that I kind of shadow consistently charge 6-7% for commissions and do not discount their commissions, and make that very abundantly clear from the outset of the commission conversation. But I also know that not everybody is lucky enough to be in that position. So again, Cody, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this particular tip or strategy.
Yeah, I think that the big thing, and we're gonna get to this a little bit later, the big thing is having options available when you're going into the presentation. Sharon talks about this consistently, about when you're doing a listing presentation, one of the best things you can do is actually do a walkthrough, like create a game plan first, then do the walkthrough of their home. And then after you do the walkthrough of the home, then you come and you have the actual presentation. So just to add to that, me and Sharon have been working on really creating a great buyer consult strategy, but also a listing strategy, and actually building out frameworks around this. But if you're this conversation, when you're in the listing presentation, the only thing I'll interject in there where it's like, you don't want to go immediately to this, you want to create the game plan, and then you want to do the walkthrough, and then you want to do the presentation afterwards. But this type of collateral where you can kind of communicate, where it's like, hey, it's 6%, but here's how we're going to get you to where you want to go. Here's how we're going to get you by listening and then doing the presentation afterwards. But having some sort of collateral like this, like the top agents we work with, they have some sort of collateral that shows them the different options that they can have when working with you. Because maybe you do charge more in order to work with a company like Revive, where it's like, hey, we can do an auction option, we can do pre-sale renovation, or we can sell it as is. And having clarity around like what you charge for each specific service will give you more clarity when you go into the presentation or you go into the pitch. So that's the only thing I would add there, is just like having clarity around like, what is your presentation and how do you fit in this type of collateral to your presentation if you're not currently doing this, which I've had tons of conversations with the agents that don't have a listing presentation, or they have a listing presentation and they immediately go into it without walking to the home and without sitting down and creating a game plan first. Like you don't want to immediately go to this. You want to sit down and ask qualifying questions, then do the walkthrough, then come back and talk about how you can help serve them at a high level. That's the only thing I would add.
Yeah, 100%, which is a good segue into one of the other tips and strategies. And I think I'll skip to it right now because you've kind of given me a perfect segue, which is the pre-listing conversation presentation. Yes, I mean, look, there's, I think that, if you're going on a listing appointment, you're going to want to be prepared to provide the relevant solutions and all of the options, right? But you don't want to be dumping all of the options on the table without any context. That could really turn people off. In fact, I was meeting with a realtor recently that told me that they'd lost a listing to another agent. And when they called back for clarification, like, please give me some feedback, I thought we had a good rapport, why did I not win the listing? This agent was told that they were overwhelmed, right? And I asked them, did you do a pre-listing presentation? And they were like, no. And it's like, yes, I mean, you want to have a pre-listing presentation, or appointment or conversation to really understand, what are your client's goals? are they, because you could sell every home is going to sell. It's like, how fast is it going to sell? How much is it going to net the client? Those are the things that are really important. So in a pre-listing conversation, like I would never go into a listing appointment or, start talking or presenting kind of out of nowhere without really understanding, what are my clients' goals? How much do they need to net? Why are they moving? How important is speed to them? All of these could really set you up perfectly for positioning, the different options that you're going to bring. And there's a couple more that I'm going to talk about. Like one of the strategies is to always have a investor offer in hand when you go to a listing appointment, right? Well, you don't want to have a listing. You don't want to have an investor offer if your client has just told you, my number one priority is to maximize the value out of my home. I've got some time. And hey, if you have a program or if you're able to do this for me, I want that. That would be really bad to kind of be like, by the way, I got an investor offer for, this amount. It's like, okay, what's the point of that? So again, to your point, Cody, I definitely agree when presenting all of these options and making the conversation relevant by really understanding your client's goals. Okay, so I'm going to segue into another tip / strategy, which is the investor offer, right? I do think people should be always prepared to come with all the options, and certainly knowing what the house is worth to an investor, or what would an investor pay for it, knowing what it's worth as is, knowing what it's worth if it was just, basically cleaned up, and knowing what it could sell and how long it will take to sell if, major or more invasive pre-sale renovations were to occur, like new kitchens, bathrooms, flooring, etc. You got to know all those. You may not present all those, but you got to know them. You have the conversation, and an investor offer is something that a lot of agents have with them. And what I want to talk about today is, even if you don't have an investor offer, I wanted to kind of walk you through how you could generate your own investor estimate, if you will, right? And so I want to kind of get you in the mindset of an investor and how they determine what offers are. So as an agent, if you're sitting across from someone and they're like, look, I just want to exit as fast as possible, you are able to say, you know what, I can get you an investor offer, by tomorrow, and it'll likely be in this range. So I've built out a little widget Excel sheet here that I'm happy to share with you. Again, please DM us, investor widget or investor worksheet. I recorded a video that kind of walks you through it, but it's very simple. And it's like this. Investors, depending on where they are, want to make anywhere between a 10 to 18% cash on cash return. Now, if you're in California, it's like 10. If you're in the Midwest, maybe it's 14 to 16, maybe 18. But in most of the coastal states, Washington, California, New York, Florida, Texas, these are competitive markets now. And investors are, doing this underwriting formula where they're looking at, okay, if I pay for a property X amount, they need to understand the number one thing that they're looking at is, what can I sell it for and what is it going to take to get there? And then they're backing out all their costs, and that is what they're going to offer. So a 10% cash on cash calculation. This spreadsheet kind of allows you to enter your clients after renovated or after improved value. Basically, what's the neighborhood top line for homes? And then what is it going to take you in improvements to get there? And then it'll spit out what an investor should pay for that property. So I always, again, one of the things that I see a lot of successful realtors doing is always having that information in their back pocket, understanding what they could bring to the table. Now, I didn't talk a lot about Revive, Cody, here at the beginning, but I guess I'll say Revive is a company that is, working really hard to change the way renovations are done by building the infrastructure for local contractors to plug into. And our main mode of business is partnering with realtors to help them have options for their clients so that they could sell their homes for as much as that market will bear. And we do that by providing the turnkey renovation solution and by providing all of the money upfront with no interest or fees until settlement. But now that we have this infrastructure, we have some other products. So Revive has a sister company called Revive Offers, and we do offer an investor product. So we could be your investor. We're different than other investors in that we purchase homes for their after renovated value. It's called our 360 program. That is when you're sitting across from someone that has an urgency to sell, but there's a huge upside in their home and they don't want to miss out on that. And so maybe the competition or the competing realtors are bringing in investor offers, and maybe you can bring an after renovated investor offer. And if you want details on that program, again, please DM us Sell 360 and you can get this little case study.
I do want you to dive a little deeper here, because I think that this is kind of like people listening, whether it be on the live, the replay, or even here. There's value in both of this, and I want everyone. I don't want to glance over this, because I want everyone to understand the options. If you're sitting in front of somebody that wants to do pre-sale renovation, I've had so many conversations with agents that, and we're going to get into how this applies to marketing, but I've had so many conversations with agents who are like kind of piecemealing this together. It's like, hey, we do a little bit of this, but for me to have to go to 5 different contractors in order to get this project done, they essentially become a project manager, where, correct me if I'm wrong, Revive comes in as the project manager to manage whether it be the Sell 360, whether it be the pre-sale renovations. You guys take care of everything, and you have trusted contractors that will outline the timeline, so that the agent is almost seen as like the hero of, like, because truthfully, like, a lot of people aren't doing this, number one, which is why I have you here today. And number two, this is a massive value proposition, whether you use it or not. It separates you from everyone else in the marketplace, because I guarantee you guys, the agents that are getting listings in the marketplace are not, like, some of them are not offering this, and this isn't even a focus for them. So when you go in with options and you go in with a solution that could potentially change the direction of, like, where, well, I can get $100,000 more than asking if I do this. Well, let's explore these options. So can you walk us through a little bit more deeper into the Sell 360 and into this, how this is working with an agent, like from start to finish?
Sure. Yeah. And I think you're kind of, we're talking about the 2 products that Revive offers. One of them is called Renovate to Sell, which is a program exactly as you put it, Cody. Revive comes in, provides the contractor network that's supported, and provides them the capital to help your client basically flip their own home or add value to their home. Now, this isn't really a new concept. Realtors have been doing it forever. If you have clients that have money, you make the recommendations. Hey, I need you to put in a new kitchen and paint and flooring, and they do it. The problem is either, a lot of times realtors do get stuck being the de facto GC. And then when they don't get stuck and they give it to their clients, it's like, it's difficult. And this is what inspired Revive to kind of start, Cody. It's, individual consumers are limited in what they could do. So asking a consumer to update their home and then leaving them, well, man, who knows, right? What could happen? It could take them an extra 3-6 months. And well, that's a really long time versus kind of providing a turnkey solution where, in 60 days, I'm going to have a product to market. So that's really, so in our core product in the Renovate to Sell, Revive provides support, to your client, to the contractor, and to you, so that everyone could focus on what they do best. And then you know that that product could come to market in a predictable timeline. Now, on the 360, it really is, it's what happens is we buy these homes and we put them through that exact same process, right? So if a client, if you're talking to a client and you're like, hey, look, I could sell your home for, as is pricing, or I could sell it for, spruced up, improved pricing. And they say, oh, I'd really like to sell it for improved pricing, but I just don't have the time because of whatever urgency that I have. Then this is when the 360 could really be advantageous and really outcompete other investor offers. So if someone's looking at getting a quick sale on their property, they're usually, if they're going to investors, they're getting, the investor offers where they're going to make a 10% minimum cash on cash return. 360 is a program where we buy that home for its after renovated value and we pay them over 2 checks, right? So check 1 is going to be equivalent to that investor offer, and then we improve it, and then the realtor gets another transaction, they sell it, and then whatever the difference between transaction 1 and transaction 2, the client gets another check. So that is a super, it's crazy, it's kind of like, it's an industry first product. It's been in pilot with us for like 2 years, and we're just now starting to talk about it. So I'm really excited for people on this to be one of the first people to be able to have access to something like this. It's not even on our website actually. But Cody, do you feel like I covered it? Do you have any questions about the program?
I think you laid it out perfectly. I think the moral of the story here is like options, guys, like options. You need to, like, the fact that, like, I didn't know about the Sell 360 until you mentioned it today. I knew there was other products coming, but it's like, we're going to get into marketing, and I think it would be awesome to shift into marketing. But this is like these conversations come up, and it's like, if you have the knowledge that Sell 360 exists, it's like, you're immediately changing the game, where it's like you're giving people options, and with the right option, buyers with process make buying decisions. So if you can lay out, here's the process in which, like, we'll either go this route, we'll go this route, we'll go this route. Here are the next steps here. Here are the next steps here. Here are the next steps here. You create clarity for the buyer, and buyer process creates buyer safety. So that's the only thing I would add there.
And I like what you said earlier. It's these are options that you should have in your tool belt, and that's what they are, options, right? Your client, you may put your foot in the door by offering something that nobody else is, but your client doesn't resonate with them. But whatever, you provided a solution potentially, and now you're in, and you pivot to something else. So I think being knowledgeable, offering solutions, being innovative, it's all good. A good practice.
There's a question that popped up here. Does Sell 360 include a certain distance outside of a given city, like Washington, D.C.?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
It says, Tad asked, does Sell 360 include a certain distance outside of a given city like Washington, D.C.? Is there like an area where you buy property?
Yeah, so we are in the DMV area. And so the answer is, the only exclusions that we have to any of our programs is, days on market. Once that home is improved and put on the market, what is the neighborhood, average days on market? If it's less than 90, there's no issues. That is one of our main kind of qualifiers for our renovate to sell and the 360 program, days on market. There's no maximum, people ask, like, could you do a $5 million home? Yeah, if your home is a $5 million listing in a market that sells in 90 days or less, which, in a lot of places, like in California, that is not unheard of. $5 million homes sell in, probably a lot less than 90 days. Maybe in like Wichita, Kansas, that's like a 200-day listing. And so that would be excluded there. But yeah. Cool. Let's see. I don't see any other questions coming in here. Okay, so I think Cody, we could segue into kind of the final kind of topic, strategy, tip, which is marketing. And one of the things that I kind of couldn't believe recently is the opportunities that a lot of realtors pass up on marketing themselves when they have a listing, right? So what I did is we did a survey at Revive of people that used Revive to do major improvements to a home. Where we fronted, oftentimes the average $150,000 in a period of 6 to 8 weeks to add massive value to a home. And I'd ask realtors like, hey, did you do a pre coming soon campaign to the neighbors? And they'd say, no, we really didn't do that, and it kind of was like mind-boggling to me that an opportunity was passed up to kind of send out a postcard that says, hey, I got a listing in your neighborhood, but I'm not bringing it to market right away because my team is facilitating the fronting of over $150,000 to make sure that not only my client maximizes the sales value of their home, but that I could add value to this neighborhood that I believe in and I want to add value to. Look out for a postcard to a neighborhood only exclusive preview in the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, where I want to show you personally the improvements we've done to this home. And then running a post-sale case study, letting the people know, here's what we did. We told you about it. Hopefully you came to the open house. And by the way, here are the numbers. So we created an SOP, if you will. We scripted out, exactly, this is again, just an example, but maybe what a card messaging would look like, front, back. We did a 7-day later call script. We did a invitation. We did a case study, collateral here. And again, if you just want to use this as a basis for what you could do, or just straight copy it, it's here. Again, DM us and we'll be happy to send this over to you.
Yeah,
but yeah, I
want to hop in here really quickly because I think that this is absolutely like genius. Number one, like every listing you get should turn into 4 to 5 more listings. So whether it be a postcard strategy, so you get a listing, even if you take a commission cut on the listing and you're like, hey, I'm going to do this listing for 3%, or I'm going to do this listing for 4%. If you take a commission cut, use that as an opportunity in order to generate 4 to 5 more listings. But like the cool thing about what you said is like, not only can you do the postcards, the other strategy is like, we could buy 1,000 verified homeowners from an insurance agency we have a partnership with, and we could circle prospect that. So if you say, for example, you used Revive to market the home, or to increase the value of the home, we could call people in the neighborhood and say, hey, have you heard about 123 Banana Street, how it's currently going under renovation? We've dropped $150,000 in order to increase the value of the home. We could use the piggyback script off of that listing, explaining what we did for the seller in order to increase the value of their home. So there's so many different strategies on the back end. The cool strategy that I really like on the front end that people aren't thinking about from a marketing perspective is, $0 down on all renovations, pay on closing. Like for any clients that are currently working with us, this is an offer that we are pushing our clients to use because it creates such a better conversation with a seller, because it's so different than what is your home value worth. So where that kind of came from is like when I started in the industry, I worked with a lot of flooring companies, and a lot of flooring estimators got into the door was through a credit offer. So even using that in your front end marketing language can help you get more listing conversations, if you get more creative with not only on the back end, like you're saying, Michael, but also on the front end of like, what are the offers you're running on the front end in order to attract more sellers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that, Revive is going to start doing is, calling realtors who are using the renovate to sell product and asking them if they're going to be doing this. And if they're not, we're just going to do it for them, because we'll prospect that neighborhood and then, give them the leads, charge them a referral fee for that. I think there's really no excuse for, it's a free opportunity to, an amazing opportunity to kind of put out there this amazing thing that is happening with that project. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, so those were the topics. I mean, I don't know if you want to open it up to any questions or.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat below. If somebody were to want to reach out and learn more about Revive, say for example, they're listening in our Facebook group or they're listening back to the replay, where is kind of the best place that we can send them to have a conversation with you specifically about what Revive does? We'll obviously add all the links in there. Where's the best place that we can send them?
Okay, so I put up a QR code, but revive.realestate is our website. If you go there, tons of places to just click book an intro meeting. That's where I would point people to. And this QR code that I have up on the screen now basically takes you to that. I think that's basically the best place to start.
Got it. And I see that Candace dropped info at revive.realestate or Candace at revive.realestate as well. I don't see any questions. I think we tackled all the questions, Michael, but I just want to say, like, from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you for taking time out of your day in order to talk to our community. We're going to send this out to all of our clients as well in the Slack channels. I know there's a bunch of people who wanted to make it that couldn't make it. But what you guys are doing in order to help real estate agents really win and kind of differentiate themselves in the marketplace is absolutely phenomenal. And that's why when you and I had the conversation about really doing this presentation today, I got stoked about it because it's different. Like, even when I'm having conversations with real estate agents about front end marketing, about, hey, here's the offer you should be running on the front end, $0 down on all renovations, pay on closing. Those just create so much better conversations with sellers than, hey, and then every standard offer, find out what your home is worth in the market. It makes the conversations different and it makes the entry point better. But even like what you said, like the circle prospecting on the back end, whether it be circle prospecting the neighborhood, door knocking the neighborhood, going to them with like a differentiation of how you could help them potentially sell their home, I think it's absolutely genius. So I just thank you for all the collateral you gave everyone today. And just thank you for the opportunity that we got to chat today. It was really great and a ton of value today.
Thank you, Cody. I appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. I want to say thank you once again for joining us today. If you're listening back on the replay, if you joined us live, I want to say thank you. If you're in the Facebook group and you joined us and you listened in, I want to say thank you. And if you're a client and you're listening back inside of Slack, I want to say just thank you. And I really hope you take these key tactics, you implement them in your business, you get opportunities, you turn one listing into 4 and 5, and encourage you to reach out to Revive and see what they can do in your local market to help you drive more value for your clients. So I want to say thank you for tuning in with us today. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you all soon. Bye, guys.